But yeah, so basically what the first discussion is going to be is Itachi versus Obito. I will start the video intro pretty soon as well. But basically, I really want to talk about this because, it's interesting. There's a lot of people that really think Obito actually takes it 9 times out of 10, which is really interesting to me because, you know, if you analyze the character of Itachi from the moment he was fucking conceived to where he's just a little kid, that motherfucker was goated from the beginning. From when he was a little, like what, either 4 or 5 years old, and was put in a war with his father, and effortlessly was able to kill a shinobi that, you know what I mean, like remind you he was doing an act of kindness trying to give him water or whatever, and when he realized he was like a hidden leaf shinobi, he immediately got bloodthirsty and with the ill intent to kill him, and Itachi just effortlessly killed him, not even looking at him, and then asked his dad and said, hey, why did he try to hurt me when I tried to help him? Like, starting from there and just further on and on and on and on, and to where it's very well established to where Itachi is basically a prodigy. He's a fucking natural genius. He's once in of a lifetime type of shinobi, okay? And he's no fucking joke. He's literally no joke. He's up there with Minato, and he's really, really fucking impressive. You know, and then that's not even including his Sharingan and then the fucking MS, and yada yada. Like, he's just absolutely an incredible talented ninja. And from the moment he was a kid all the way to he's a teen and then to the war arc, you know what I mean? Like, he always wins, always comes out on top, always has a contingency plan. He's basically the fucking Batman of Naruto, if we're really being honest. Obito, on the other hand, okay, when we kind of analyze him as a character, he doesn't really become a big deal until he gets Zetsu cells inside of him, into where he has, the MS right when he sees Rin die. That is when he starts to become a big deal as a big of a threat, okay? And even that version of Obito, in my opinion, wouldn't be able to do anything to Itachi, okay? And overall, and then when you get to like Yellow Mask Obito and then to Orange Mask Obito, like, Itachi still slaps. And it's just, it'd be a cool fight, but overall, Itachi would come up top, and narratively it is implied that he would. And on top of it, if you actually analyze both characters with their feats and everything they have, their equipment and so on and so forth, Itachi has the same exact capabilities as a Sharingan user as Obito. He can use both techniques, okay? One Sharingan ability that gives you a freebie, the other that freaking, what's it called? It can do like a whole loop and shit, and you name it. Like, it's like I said, I'm gonna get into it. I'm about to start the YouTube video. I don't want to keep elaborating too long. But that's what we're gonna start this off with for now, and then we'll go on and then get into the gaming side of things. So, all right. What's good, everybody? It's Batman, and we're over here doing another video of Naruto. This time it won't be a reaction video. It's actually going to be there is some reaction because I'm going to be showing you guys some content of Naruto. What's it called? But, the reason why I'm going to be doing this, and we're on episode 81 in Naruto, in part 1 Naruto, is mainly due to the fact that, the video of this, obviously, as you guys know, is going to be Itachi versus Obito, okay? And I really want to actually do, in-depth analysis of Itachi, okay? Of why he's just an incredible, goated ninja, fucking once-in-a-lifetime type shinobi, okay? Prodigy, genius, you name it, okay? Him and Minato are no fucking joke, okay? Him and Minato have a reputation of basically being able to always come on top, always be ahead of everyone, and always win, in a nutshell, okay? And they're basically praised as a legendary reputation, okay? And overall, Itachi's just no fucking joke, okay? From the moment, I won't even, start there yet, but Itachi's really, really powerful. Obito, on the other hand, he is also really powerful as well. And he's definitely no joke. He's no laughing matter. What's it called? And he, if you really analyze Obito from the moment he obtains the MS from after seeing Rin die, you know what I mean? And from there, that's when he starts to become a problem shinobi. And, then you have Yellow Mask, and then you have Orange Mask, and then, it goes on and on. So, overall, it's really interesting because, they're both very powerful characters, and it is a very interesting topic to talk about, at least in my opinion. But overall, for most versions, it mainly favors, in my opinion, with Itachi until it gets to Rinnegan Obito. That's when I feel like Itachi could potentially be having problems. Um, and the main reason why is because of Obito having access to the Gedo statue, having access to the passive Pain's abilities, Shinra Tensei, all that, you name it. And then on top of it, he still has also access to Kamui. And then if you also give him Tailed Beast, that also kind of sucks as well. Now, and overall, it's more of a big deal. You know what I mean? Itachi is more of a character for 1v1 type situations, not really to take on like a big fucking, boss type guy, and especially if he has like backup, or all these extra, hack abilities or another visual prowess ability besides the shotting gun as well, like going against a Rinnegan user is a big fucking deal. Okay. But so overall, that's the general premises or establishment of both characters. They're very incredible. They're very powerful. We all know, a lot about Obito and Itachi. But I'm gonna be starting with Itachi, and then we'll go to Obito basically and analyze everything with him as well. And depending on how long the video will be, this will either just be separate parts, like part 1, part 2, and then maybe part 3. So 3 parts at most. Or if we are able to get it all in just one video, then awesome. More likely it might not be the case, but we'll do what we can. So the first thing I'm going to show is with Itachi, and basically we first get the impression of Itachi in part 1 Naruto. We do actually, yeah, we see him throughout, whatever, but we never actually really get to see him. And then when the shit hits the fan after the attack from Orochimaru, you know what I mean, he comes on down, blah blah, and then it goes from there. So and that's where we're going to start it off at. And then we would do what's called a past time skip to where it starts from him as a little kid, okay? And then we're just going to show certain scenes with that and everything. We're not going to really show everything. But basically, it's going to show you how legendary Itachi is. From the moment he's a little fucking kid, like, he's just no fucking joke. Like, it reminds you, Itachi was the real deal from the moment he was a little kid. Not when he's a teen, when he's a kid. Obito, on the other hand, doesn't become a problem until he obtains MS, you know what I mean, from seeing Ren die, and now has Kamui along with Zetsu cells, you know what I mean, and then, of course, you get to see the Yellow Mask version, which, I don't know if you guys didn't know, but actually, the Yellow Mask version actually had not really a clash, but he did have an appearance in front of Kid Itachi with his team, and Obito killed his team, and he spared Itachi for whatever reason, I don't remember why. What's it called? And basically, like, Itachi literally just could not do anything, and he awakened his Sharingan, from the moment, of basically seeing his friends, die and so on and so forth. So, I believe that's, if my memory is correct, that's how he awakened the Sharingan, in the beginning. It was actually to do with Obito. But other than that, we're gonna get, really into it and whatnot, and then, that'll be it. Because I do remember in the anime that Itachi's holding Sasuke, and like he cries and says, the eye of pain, blah blah. Like, these are eyes that you will have soon as well. It's Sasuke. I mean, so, but if I'm right, because I think I heard it from elsewhere from another YouTuber that has really good Naruto content. I think it was Naruto Explained. I believe he actually got his Sharingan from when his team was slaughtered, basically by Obito. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for now. I'm done elaborating any further on that. And let's get to show Itachi Uchiha. Actually, hang on. The volume is on. It's no bueno. Let's turn that off real quick. Okay. So, now we're good. And then, I'm just going to keep the volume off for now. Mainly for copyright, because, I don't really need the volume. I just kind of need to go over certain scenes and just show you guys. I like to do things a little bit different. I like to actually show the show or the anime instead of just showing like manga panels and all that and just kind of, gradually moving on to the next. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's a little different. Not a lot of people do. At least I haven't seen people do what I'm doing. If I have audio or not, they literally, I kid you not, will flag me for copyright for anything. It could be visual, It could be fucking sound, like, it does not matter. So we'll keep the audio on, actually. Might as well, there's no fucking point. We'll just go from there. So let's watch it. So Itachi looks at him with the Sharingan, which we all know that what the Sharingan is capable of. And let me do this real quick. Forgot the audio is still on. Alright, so basically Itachi looks at him and puts him to sleep. So just in one look, he just put people to sleep, you know, and that makes sense. You know what I mean? We've seen a lot of Sharingan users can like immediately look at someone and they can either control their mind, you know, put them in genjutsu, whatever, or just knock them out. So that's the first thing we see. So right here, this dumb broad literally actually thinks genjutsu is gonna work on fucking Adam all Uchiha. Itachi Uchiha, like, fucking clearly, like, underestimates the fucking guy. And Itachi's like, okay, you dumb bitch. And it literally immediately reverses it. Immediately reverses it. And mind you, Itachi is also holding back throughout this entire confrontation. So these are actually his comrades, and he's not gonna kill them. He could have killed them if he wanted to, but he won't. Look at that, immediately behind her. Hey, your boy Kakashi. I just love that line that he starts with. He's like, I'm different from Kasame. I won't take time. And you immediately see Kakashi with sweat on the side of his forehead, like freaking the fuck out, immediately doing hand signs. Mind you, Itachi, all he did was you just see Shuriken come through his knuckles. And he did a jutsu at Kakashi. His jutsu sign speed was so fast, you couldn't even fucking see it. That's all you saw from there. Okay? And Kakashi even acknowledges that as well. Right here. So, that's some jutsu speed. My eyes couldn't follow the sign. The shuriken in the right hand was a decoy. To use a water spell jutsu to launch and attack from under my foot. See, and this clearly shows that his jutsu speed is just insanely fucking fast. And mind you, Itachi, like, respected Kakashi. He's like, he acknowledges him. He's like, you know, as I expected from Kakashi, your, you know, tactical analysis is incredible. But, however, you know what I mean? I'm faster and you're still too slow.
Nice, Kakashi.
And then literally the original shadow person that was fighting Itachi at first was an explosion shadow clone. Not a normal, an explosion shadow clone, bro. Like, what? That's so fucking cool. He puts Kakashi under Tsukiyomi and literally tortures him and basically can manipulate time itself, okay, to where literally things can happen in a picosecond, okay, to where, like, he could put someone in there for hundreds of years or millions of years, okay, torture, whatever, you name it, whatever. He could even give a whole life to someone to, like, enjoy, to be happy, you name it. And that can literally happen in either less than a second or in just 1 second in the real world. That's how broken Tsukiyomi is. Okay, Tsukiyomi's no fucking joke. Now, the thing about Tsukiyomi, though, is, you know, it's interesting because every time we've seen Itachi use it, 9 times out of 10 it does what it's supposed to do. You know what I mean? And better yet, when we're in the war arc, Naruto even has a statement saying if you get caught in Tsukiyomi, you're done for. Do not get caught in that. Even though we all know that perfect Jinchuriki technically should be able to escape Genjutsu. But then again, Tsukiyomi isn't really a normal Genjutsu. It's more of like a freaking hacks type Genjutsu that's pretty fucking broken at the end of the day. Now, there is a point that we see in the fight against Sasuke to where he uses Tsukiyomi on Sasuke, you know, and then Sasuke was able to break out of it, etc., so on and so forth. And basically what they were trying to establish is that, you know, depending on the power of the Sharingan Eye, that you don't necessarily need the MS to be able to counteract Tsukiyomi or fight back with it or whatever. You know what I mean? As long as you have a Sharingan and you can make its power level match, you know, the MS, then you're good to go. And what Sasuke did is he did CM2 into his eye, which allowed him to break out of Tsukiyomi. Now, that's generally what they like indicated to kind of show for the audience, but actually analyzing Itachi and knowing everything about him, his backstory, etc., and you name it, you could easily indicate and have an argument that he was just holding back and he let him break out of Tsukiyomi. So that's just something to also put into consideration. You know, because at the end of the day, he doesn't want to fucking kill Sasuke or just beat him, you know what I mean? Or fucking make him like brain dead like he did when he first found him in part 1. You know, like that's kind of stupid. You know, he wanted Sasuke to beat him and to make it seem like he killed him. This way, Sasuke can get more powerful and he could bestow also, you know, his gifts to Sasuke as well. You know, and then basically was in hopes for Sasuke to return to the village and then so on and so forth and then go from there. But instead, it didn't go that route and Obito got his hands on him instead. So that's kind of like what you see from here. So we're going to kind of end it there. And then we're going to skip forward to something that's more important now. Let's cut out. I'm not going to show the scene because I already passed it, but literally Itachi can also cast Genjutsu without even looking at your eyes. So generally, you know, people always like, oh, just look at his feet, you know, in order to counter it, or have some type of jutsu that can, you know, stop his visual, you know, whatever, from basically him using his visual Genjutsu prowess. But it actually, which not a lot of Uchiha can actually do, which is interesting, but Itachi, he actually has a finger Genjutsu to where he can literally just point at you and put you under Genjutsu, which is fucking insane, to be honest. What's it called? And it makes sense, you know, like if the other Genjutsu specialist, Kushina, whatever, not Kushina, Kurenai, or whatever, Asuma's girl, if she could do Genjutsu, whatnot, without even like looking at your eyes and just kind of do it with hand signs or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's not, you know, it's not like it's out of this fucking world. But yeah, he can still do Genjutsu without his Sharingan. Okay, and it was powerful enough to basically make Naruto freak out and yada yada, the way he was trying to release it or whatever, and he basically was getting fucked until they released him from it. And he also did something similar to Orochimaru, to where he didn't even like look. I don't think, he didn't look at Orochimaru in his eyes, because Orochimaru grabbed him with the snake, and then basically, you know, like Itachi kind of talks some shit or whatever, puts him in Genjutsu, and then cuts his arm off, because Orochimaru was trying to like release it with his hands, but he immediately cut his arm off, and he's like, you'll always be inferior, blah blah, this and that. So, and then Orochimaru was like, Itachi, I hate you, basically. So, which I will show you that. But basically, from that fight, all you really get to see is him do like a fireball style, you know, like a fireball jutsu, which is basically pretty massive, whatever, cool. And then he also tries to put Kakashi in Tsukiyomi again, but instead Kakashi did a shadow clone, so it didn't work on him. You know, and that's basically it so far. And then eventually Naruto does like a big Rasengan with the Kyuubi chakra, and basically one shots the 30% clone of Itachi. Which you guys gotta all remember, it's Itachi holding back. He doesn't really care. He's just kind of buying time for the Akatsuki to seal Gaara. And then it's also a 30% clone as well. That's generally how that fight goes. Nothing really too crazy. Remind you, he's not even looking at him.
貴重なシャリンガンを持つ者が自ら私の前に、なんてラッキーなのかしら、私は。さあ、その体いただくわよ。まさかこの私が金縛りの幻術に、なんという動力、素晴らしい。
Which is really interesting, because when Orochimaru is behind him, following him, you know, he's looking the opposite direction. Then Orochimaru grounds with the snake, and then basically he like it shows like his Sharingan did something. He moves his eyes a little bit, and then immediately Orochimaru's like, "Oh, this is a paralysis. I can't fucking speak. Paralyzing, genjutsu." And it's interesting because he didn't look at Orochimaru in his eyes, yet it still signified that he did use a Sharingan to do the genjutsu, not really his finger or whatever. And then Orochimaru also says like, "Wow, what incredible visual prowess genjutsu!" Like just wow, he's kind of amazed. And Orochimaru can't do shit. He's basically fucked right now, and he's at Itachi's will. So Itachi's genjutsu is no fucking joke. And then he tries to release it.
Orochimaru, お前のいかなる術もこの目の前では何の効力も持たない。
And then that's just that little, confrontation right there. So overall, his genjutsu is no fucking joke. And as you can clearly tell effortlessly, he is nowhere near Sonic level. He is way, way far surpassed that. He's no fucking joke. Briefly on the fight with Sasuke, really, if you all don't know general like rundown of how the fight went, then whatever, you need to go watch the fucking fight. But they kind of clash, whatever. They're basically filling each other out with genjutsu, okay, and and Itachi's holding back the entire fight. And remind you, he's also sick and crippled, and he's fighting against a max full power Sasuke with CM2 and with Orochimaru also inside of him, which is also an amp itself. And overall he's kind of fighting, whatever. They're going back and forth, yada yada. And then eventually it gets to the point where Itachi, decides to, just try a little bit more to kind of press Sasuke, make it look like he's actually really trying to kill him. And he does a Mataratsu. Sasuke tries to run around, dodge. He can't. He gets hit in the wing. Then Itachi's about to kind of cancel it, whatever. But then it was like a clone, like one of Orochimaru's like resurrection snake shit. Then he does like the fire thing or whatever. And then basically he does Kirin and launches it down at Itachi. And Itachi activates his Susanoo just in time to tank it. Which you could probably argue was like the rib cage or whatever. Either way he does Susanoo. And so that's why he was still able to get back up and take the blow. Even despite the amount of destruction capability it had. And it was a very, very big, powerful fucking explosion. And overall, like, he gets back up. He's like, what, is this, the vision of death you saw? And then he does Susanoo, which kind of activates the full thing. And then basically anything Sasuke does literally just can't do shit. He's basically at Itachi's, will, and at his mercy. And basically Itachi, just pokes him in the head, whatever, basically saying, I love you, goodbye, this is the end. Bestows some power within him to protect him. And then basically that's it. And then it gets to this point where Obito captures Sasuke to kind of tell him the truth about everything. But there's something in this scene that's actually really important to kind of put into consideration that I actually really want to show people.
手当てはしてはお前が勝っただがお前にもかなりのダメージが残っている無理に体を起こさない方がいい一度あったな
その消息お前は
前は敵としてだがデイダラのことなら気にしなくていい俺はお前の敵じゃないの真実を知るものだよまさか
So that's really important to put into consideration. So Obito looks into Sasuke's eyes with his Sharingan, and Itachi has a contingency plan embedded a Mataratsu into Sasuke, just in case if he ever met eye contact with Obito's eye. Okay, it was kind of like as a last resort or whatever. And overall, that's basically what he did. You know, just that's for preparation, guys. Just in character, what Itachi likes to do to protect Sasuke. And immediately Amaterasu is activated. Mind you, you see the blood, you see the eye change to MS and all that. And Obito's like, wait, what? No way. And he has plenty of time to react, plenty of time to either utilize Kamui, whatever, yada yada, you name it. But instead, it still is so fast that it hits him directly on his shoulder blade, or in like on the right side of his chest. And he's like spazzing forth, you know, he's taking the damage, he's feeling the pain, you know, and then he screams in pain, okay, clearly indicating that the fire is on him, that Kamui was not able to be fast enough to save him. And then you'll see what happens next.
イタチがお前に仕込んだアマテラスだ。さすがイタチだ。死んでなお驚かされる。ここまで手を打っておくとはな。
一体何のことだ。
お前に術をかけていたのだ。俺を殺すために。いや、お前から俺を遠ざけるためとでも言おうか。おそらくお前が俺の車輪ガンを見ると、アマテラスが自動的に発動するように仕掛けたんだろう。さすがのイタチにも俺の全ては知られてはいなかった。でなければ死んでいた。イタチの最後っぺってやつだな。俺には通用しなかったが。
だから何の話をしている。
イタチは死ぬ前にお前に何かをしたはずだ。
So, and that's basically the general rundown of what happens in that situation. Now, a lot of people try to say and be like, oh, well, you know, Obito just used Kamui, and that's why he's perfectly fine. There's actually no way he could have used Kamui, and I'll go into detail and explain why, you know what I mean, that wouldn't have actually saved him in that situation, because when you actually analyze Kamui, like, when you go to the war arc and all that, and etc., basically, Kamui, okay, the way it works is when he dematerializes and it goes through his body, all that's happening is your punch or your attack or whatever is just going into his Kamui dimension, okay, meaning therefore like it's just there. And so then when you like pass through him completely or you back away or pull out whatever, okay, then he just, you know, it goes back to normal because he can't attack if he's taking an attack. That's just generally how his Kamui works, okay? So meaning, therefore, what's it called? If the Amaterasu already hit before Kamui was activated, meaning that his body was already taking damage, and you can hear it in the pain in his voice, him freaking out, and etc., and you name it, okay? There's no way for him to use Kamui, because even if he did use Kamui, it's still going to be on that body part, because all he's doing is putting certain body parts into the dimension. This way he cannot get hit. Okay, and if you guys don't remember, when he was fighting against Kakashi, Guy, and KCM2 Naruto, okay, with Rinnegan, okay, what's it called? Basically, when the Nine Tails had formulated a plan on how to also counter Kamui without using Kamui, because there's two big weaknesses. You have the first weakness, which is utilizing Kamui, which is basically the best counter for it, okay, and then the second one, which is really interesting, okay, that the Nine Tails was able to do is he throws Kakashi into Obito's Kamui, and Naruto's like, what the hell, why'd you do that? And then when Obito tries to use Kamui and fight against Naruto and Guy and all that, basically Kakashi immediately sees the body coming into the dimension and he attacks it. And mind you, he could have killed him at that point. He could have just Shidori'd him right there and then, but he didn't, because that's obviously his comrade and his friend, okay? And that is a big fucking weakness and a big deal. which meaning overall when he uses Kamui, basically he's setting whatever body part that's being attacked or whatever, or if it's his entire body that basically goes into that little circle and then he's gone completely. You know what I mean? That's all he's doing. He's just going into the Kamui dimension and then come back into the real world. Okay, and that's it. And then obviously he can teleport and move around and so on and so forth. So that's all it fucking is. And really it's just that simple. So meaning that even if he did activate Kamui, basically his body part would still be on fire. So meaning the only thing that we actually can probably as the best thing to assume or interpretation, because it doesn't actually show how he was okay, is him utilizing that one ability, which I can't pronounce it, so I'm not going to try, because I always confuse the two. But it's basically the ability he used against Conan, or the Paper Girl, to where it basically gives you a freebie and it alters reality itself and basically brings you back to life even if you're about to die. Okay, and that's all he really did. It's just that simple. And it is shown for him to have a spare of a Sharingan eye, because he did it with Conan, and then his Sharingan's not there anymore. And then next thing you know, he ends up having a Sharingan again in the long haul anyways. So, but yeah, that's generally all it's really going on. And so there's no way for it to actually be Kamui. He had to have been forced to use that Genjutsu ability, which, to be fair, either Itachi didn't know that he had that, you know what I mean? Or maybe he did and he was well aware, but that was kind of just to be one defensive measure for Sasuke to either allow him to get away, or fight accordingly, or have any type of a fighting chance against Obito if he was to fight against Sasuke and either his team, whatever it is, okay? So overall, that's just that. And I wanted to kind of, put that out there and show you guys that. I thought that was interesting because that basically indicates and shows that Amaterasu is fast enough to tag a Kamui user, at least in my opinion. Just from that scene alone, it's very weird for you to try to fight against that or argue and be like, oh no, there's no way, when no, he had plenty of time, he realizes it, so on and so forth, and still gets tagged by Amaterasu, just showing how fast it is. Because we all know at the end of the day, Amaterasu is a very, very fast jutsu. I'll even show this right here. I know I didn't want to show the fight, but here, hang on. Go forward a bit. Alright, we'll stop it right here. Not going to show the whole fight, but I do want to show this one moment.
すげえ炎で炎を食い尽くした。あの術は燃やしたいところを目視し、ピントが合うだけでその視点から黒煙が発生する。黒煙は捉えたもの。
So basically, wherever he looks, the black flames will hit.
その対象が炎であって。
It's like teleportation fire. It's absolutely insane. I'll even pull up the data book statement on that with Amaterasu as well. So right now he's kind of looking everywhere else. He's not looking at Sasuke. You gotta remember, he's holding back. Okay, he's just kind of moving his head, whatever. And it's literally everywhere he's looking, it's going. And then finally he makes it hit his wing. He doesn't make it hit. He could have hit his body, his head, and everything and killed him. He just does it to the wing. And he stops Amaterasu because he didn't want to kill his brother, okay? Not because he wanted to take his eyes. And that's just that. So, overall, Amaterasu is a big fucking deal, okay? It's it's pretty freaking goated. It's an instant hit, alright? It's a very, very fast ninjutsu, okay? And then not only that, there's even another moment where Sasuke utilizes Amaterasu when he's fighting against the fourth Raikage. And the fourth Raikage being in V2, okay, Lightning Cloak Armor level 2, not 1, but level 2, okay, he was able to be fast enough and use Body Flicker to dodge Amaterasu. So if you have enough speed, then you can dodge it. But with the Kamui, with that speed, with, in the episode of Fate 140, it clearly shows that Kamui was not fast enough to react to Itachi's Amaterasu, or it's the same shit, or whether if it's Sasuke or Itachi using it. So that's just something to kind of put it into consideration. So and then there's also another scene where he does it on Killer B on like the full 8 tails, and it kind of fucks him up. So I don't need to show that. That's not necessary.
俺のことを知っていた。あんた
So this right here, Obito is very like surprised. He's like, "How do you know about me?" And then Itachi's like, "You slipped through extra type leaf security." So meaning overall, Itachi already knows about this fucking guy, and Obito had no idea. This just goes to show how intelligent and how incredible and how much awareness that Itachi has as well to his environment, his surroundings, and everything, etc.
あの木の葉の警備をかいくぐり、中野神社の秘跡まで調べていた。あれの場所を知るのは内派の者だけ。それからあんたの行動
And he's kept an eye on his movements.
どんな人物でどんな思想を持つのか調べさせてもらう。
And like he said, to see what type of character you are, your ideology, and everything. So meaning he's been watching Obito this whole time, and Obito never knew. He was like, "How'd you know about me?" Like, that's pretty fucking impressive.
それなら話が早い。なら俺が内派一族の者で木の葉と内派に憎しみを持つことも知ってるってことだな。
条件がある。内派一族への復讐は手引きする。代わりに里へは手を出すな。それと内派サスケにも。
So he makes terms with Obito and says, "I'll help you get your vengeance and to process your hatred, but there's terms. You cannot harm the Hidden Leaf Village, and nor Sasuke Uchiha." Okay, so remind you, he is making terms with Obito and forcing him, and basically that is a threat. If you guys don't understand, that is a threat. You're not going to just go up to someone and be like, "All right, well, here's the deal. Okay, I'll help you, blah, blah, this and that, but here's the conditions. You can't do this. Is that okay?" And if Obito didn't care and he's like, "You know what? Nah, fuck you. I'm going to do what I want," they would have just fought right there and then. But Obito clearly knew better. Okay, he was like, "Okay, this guy's he's pretty impressive. He knew about me the whole time. He knows my intentions, yada yada. He's been watching me, all right. I need to kind of be a little bit cautious with this guy." And overall, he's given me a deal in terms, establishing, dominance currently. Like, I need to be careful with this guy. And he is showing a little bit of fear. He's showing a little bit of, like, all right, okay, and it gets even better from that too. But this is the first thing that basically establishes, well, mind you, they're both teens at this point, but this basically establishes the respect that they have for one another, okay? And if Obito truly was so much more powerful than Itachi, you know what I mean? Or better yet, he could just beat him or win at ease, he would have never win on terms. Better yet, he would have helped Itachi slaughter the Uchiha clan, and then he would have just fought Itachi and took his eyes and killed him. And then just went from there, and everything would have been a lot easier. The Akatsuki plans, the Infinite Tsukiyomi, you name it. Like, it all would make perfect sense. There's no reason for Obito not to, to want to enforce his plans and to assert world dominance for peace itself, because that is literally Obito's entire thing, and he's technically the leader of the Akatsuki, okay? Like, it makes no logical sense. And overall, from that moment, basically that deal is pretty much being kept at all times, and Obito is always being basically put in check by Itachi. And no one knew Itachi's true intentions. No one knew that he was a double agent spy except for Obito. And they're in the same Akatsuki organization, and Itachi's well aware of what Obito wants to do, and Obito is well aware of Itachi's intentions. And they clearly don't mix. It is a conflict of interest. So meaning, why doesn't Obito just get rid of Itachi? Because he clearly is intimidated by him and fears him to certain measures. Like Obito, if he really wanted to, he could have many ways to go about it at the end of the day to try to either more likely eliminate Itachi or whatever, yada yada. But instead he played the long haul. He played the safe route, the cautious game. And he kind of waited and was patient and, and was analyzing everything, manipulating, pulling strings, you name it, to the point where it eventually went the way he wanted anyways. So, and that's generally the rundown of it. But at the end of the day, Itachi always put him in check. And Itachi, unfortunately, never really deemed him enough as a threat or enough as a potential future problem to where he could have caused everything in the future. Because if he really thought he would be that much of a problem, he would have just fought him and killed him right there and then. In my opinion, that's what it generally would have went down. So, but I'll let you guys kind of, you know, have your own thoughts and collective. You can put your own opinions on that and whatever in the comments down below, etc. But I kind of want to put that out there. I think to me that's important to kind of put into consideration. But let's look even further, and I'll show you guys even more.
はい。
あれか。
11歳だとよ。暗部最年少じゃねえのか。
ロハンは5分後に第三演習場に。
So literally, Itachi is 11 years old. So obviously, as all these other people are a little bit way more older, and you know, and like in their teens and whatnot, or maybe some of them are even adult. I don't know. But they're all like, like an 11-year-old in the Anbu, that would make him the youngest, blah blah, this and that. Like, what the hell? Like, that's weird. So they're all like underestimating him and taking him as a joke right now, which is really interesting. And it's funny because it just goes to show how legendary Itachi is. Watch this. And we all know Anbu level people are pretty impressive. They're very powerful, elite Jonin ninja. Like, there's a reason for Anbu. Like, they're just not there for shits and giggles. And unless you're like a Sonic level opponent, you know, or like a Katsuki level, or you know what I mean, or like a Kage, whatever, then yeah, you could either beat them effortlessly or go to toe-to-toe, whatever. But Anbu are no joke.
説明しろ。ここに来るだけの腕があるのかはっきりさせたくて。
若すぎますかね。
上層部の決定に不満か。
いや、そういうつもりじゃ。
こいつがただものじゃないということはお前たちも感じているはずだ。ロハン隊長のかかしだ。早急だが暗部のルール、フォーメーションを覚えてもらう。
はい。
やるな。
実力は確かですが、あの年で暗部に入れるなんて異例は異例ですね。
団蔵様の推薦があったらしい。
ええ。彼、そうは見えませんけどね。
何がだ。
So that's basically that. And that's very, very impressive. For Itachi to be able to join the Anbu at the age of 11, that is absolutely incredible. Like, fucking incredible. Now, I'm going to be honest, you guys can let me know and correct me or whatever. I don't know, like, what was Obito like 11 or around that age or ballpark when he was like Yellow Mask, you know what I mean? Or when he acquired the MS, you know what I mean, with in Zetsu cells? Was he around that age, and was that when he fought like a whole fucking platoon of like Anbu and you name it from the Hidden Mist Village and like fucking bodied them all? Because I think Obito was around the same age at that point as well. I don't know. I can't, you know, but overall, either way, what's it called? I think that is pretty impressive for Itachi. And if you guys didn't know, then now you know.
お前も逃げろ。
任務の途中で一問特攻第五トモン開。
体術だけであれを
感心するのは後だ。
That's also like actually funny to kind of mention because Guy goes into the gates immediately, you know, which this clearly signifies that he has access to the, you know, to the 5th and 6th gate, and basically Itachi's like actually like you know, impressed, like he's actually admiring that. He's like, wow, he did all that with just taijutsu, you know, and overall like fucking Kashi's like, yeah, save the admiration for later, you know. And then when Itachi eventually meets Guy, like when after he bodies Kakashi effortlessly, you know, he and Kasame's talking shit and underestimating Guy, Itachi literally like, mind you, he's calm and collective the entire time with it while Kakashi was there, Asuma and Kurina. But when Guy gets there, he gets so scared and pressed that he literally, his face immediately turns serious and he looks down and he's like, Kasame, do not underestimate that guy. If you do, you'll regret it. And it says ... Like, he gets serious with Guy. Okay? So, you know, and mind you, this was like one impression that he had of him way in the past. And then, you know, there's a longer, bigger time skip and they're older. So, like, you know, that's just some more insight for, you know, for Guy, at least I want to kind of put out there. But, you know, for either way for Itachi, you know, it does, like, you know, connect with him. So that's why I just want to kind of mention that.
あんたに協力してもらいたいことがある。俺やることに
うちは
今夜決行する。
いいだろう。約束通り手を貸してやる。
では手はず通りに頼む。
俺が内葉殲滅に手を貸すのは復讐の他に別の目的があるからだ。それには目をつぶってもらうぞ。
この車輪ガンをお前のやることに向けるなと。
そうだ。それが俺がお前の弟を殺さぬ証でもある。車輪ガンを持たぬ子供に用はない。
だから安心しろか。俺にはもうあんたを信頼するしか道はないんだがな。
行き場を失ったら俺の組織へ来い。
あんたの組織？
名は暁。
So that's important to put into consideration. So briefly, it's getting to the day of, okay, and basically, Itachi's like, today, tonight is the night. Sorry. And overall, he's, basically saying, all right, I'm counting you, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, well, I will do as I promised, but one thing I need you to know and to put into consideration, I'm only doing this because it basically fits the other plans that I have, And then he makes his terms. He's like, and one thing I need you to know and be addressed, okay, as long as you don't, get in the way of those plans or whatever, then, we're good, we're at an impasse or whatever. And he basically tells Itachi, and you cannot use your shotgun gun against me, correlating to my plans. And I'm not just going to rewind it just to make sure I actually, analyze this as well. So they're both kind of throwing in, a little bit of, threats and, intimidation, which, when the first time we see this, we see the beginning of the conversation, it's more of, one-sided of Itachi basically putting his foot down. But then the day of when the Uchiha massacre is supposed to happen, you actually kind of see both of them kind of talking to each other down. Okay, and mind you, we're going to do these type of versions. So we're going to do this version of Obito, which this could either be that mask or yellow. It doesn't fucking matter. It's basically the same. And then we'll obviously do orange mask Obito. And then we'll talk about Rinnegan. And then obviously we have Itachi, healthy. I'm not obviously going to do sick and crippled. That's just fucking stupid. But we'll do healthy Itachi, whatever. And then we'll do Edo Itachi. And then that'll be it. If I really had to talk about cripple, sure, it'd be just very briefly. But to be honest, it's not really fair. I don't know why we would want to even do a debate battle of a crippled sick person on his deathbed against, a prime Zetsu fucking infinite light of a shotgun MS user. That's kind of stupid, So, but anyway, so we're going to analyze this conversation one more time, and then I'll just have a brief summary on it. Fine, I shall assist you as promised. I'm counting on you. I'm going to help you annihilate the Uchiha because I have another goal. I want you to keep your eyes closed for that. So basically he's saying, don't use your shotgun against me for those other goals. So he's like, and then he says, so I'm not to use my shotgun against whatever you're planning? He says, yes. Then I will guarantee that I will not kill your little brother. I have no use for a child without the shotgun. And he says that's supposed to reassure me, questioning him. It's at this point I have no other choice but to trust you. And he's like, if you need a place to go to join my organization, and he's like, your organization? He's like, I call it the Akatsuki. So that's the one thing Itachi did not know about. So Obito didn't know that Itachi was watching him this whole time, keeping tabs, blah, blah, this and that, yada, yada. Okay, and you name it, and then, makes the intimidation and the threats to him basically know your place, whatever. But on the contrary, Itachi didn't even know that about his secret organization that he's been doing all along, the Akatsuki. So, which is really interesting. So meaning implying that Itachi didn't know everything. Normally it's always shown that Itachi always knows everything or he's aware, but he actually doesn't know everything. That would be ignorant to truly say that. So, yeah, I thought that was a little bit of an interesting conversation to kind of keep in mind. So basically, then he pulls up on Danzo and basically threatens him and basically says, if you ever even dare lay a finger on Sasuke, I will pass, very important, critical intel to our enemies and nations and overall so on and so forth. Basically saying he will fuck over the Leaf Village if it comes to that. Because at the end of the day, he does care and love his brother. You know what I mean? And that's the only thing kind of keeping him going. And if they can't respect that, then he will betray the village at that point. So it's interesting. And then Danzo's like, that guy, you know what I mean? Because he knows he can't do anything. He can't beat Itachi in a fucking fight. And not only that, Itachi was bloodthirsted and had MS activated and everything. He was ready to go if it came down to it, So for the fact that he can pull up on Danzo, someone with that caliber, and basically be like, nah, fuck you, know your place, that's also very, very impressive. Here we go, baby. This is the juicy stuff right here. This man don't even got a headband, and he got sent into war. I don't know, I could be wrong, but he's either 4 or 5 years old at this point. Either way, it's fucking crazy. The same fucking, age and everything as when Sasuke was, on Team 7 or in the Academy? I don't know. But I'm just saying, he's young as shit right now. This is the youngest we've seen him. Holy fuck. And mind you, this kid is in the Great Ninja War. The first one. Actually, I could be wrong on that. Either the first or second. I think it's the first. I apologize. But either way, that's not the point. What's it called? And this motherfucker is witnessing a whole war. And he's a little kid. And you could tell he's kind of roughed up, fatigued, whatever. And yeah, he's just in the, just looking at all of it. And at any moment, shit could just hit the fan and he has to fight. Yeah, he's perfectly fine and capable of protecting himself. And he's been alive this whole time. When we see Kakashi as a kid and Obito and all of them in the war, they're fucking struggling. When we see anyone else in a fucking war, it's a struggle. This motherfucker is just trying to understand the concept of war, of why everyone's fighting and the pain and the suffering and the death. He hates it. It disgusts him, And yet he's not over here scared or interfere for his life. Instead, he could be able to take on anyone basically at this, well, not anyone, but for the most part, he could basically fuck up any of these people, And these guys are probably Gennings, Chunings, Maybe there might even be some Jonings. I don't know. But, that's impressive. That's very fucking impressive. Kid Obito would have never been able to do this shit, okay?
Mizu!すまん。忍び道具。
He literally just did that effortlessly. He tried to help him and give him water, and when he realized he was an enemy shinobi, he immediately got bloodlusted and went for the the intent to kill, which I already stated this before, and Itachi effortlessly fucking kills him without even looking at him, and then starts to process it. Says, "Father, why did that shinobi try to kill me? I didn't do anything." And then he says, "Because this is war. It's not a war between people, it's a war between nations. That's why strangers kill each other meaninglessly." It's very sad. He says, "Is that what it is?" And then he's like, that is what the shinobi world is. His father tells him, "Never forget this sight." Let this be like a learnable lesson, and that's it. Mind you, he was a fucking kid, okay? And look, even the third Hokage and the Minato was there too. Actually, hang on, was that Rin and Kakashi? I think that was Rin and Kakashi. Yeah, look, I see him. Kakashi's over there and Rin. And his headband's also down as well, meaning... Unless it did a time skip, I don't know. But I guess you would imply that he has a Sharingan because his headband's down. Someone needs to tell me the timelines of this. And then look, there's Kid Itachi right there. So, Kid Itachi was fucking around when Kakashi was a kid and all that, and Rin and everything. Like, that's interesting.
どうかその話はよせ。畑かかしはどうしますか。一族のものでもないのに車輪ガンを持っています。内葉帯とは勇敢に戦ったそうだ。
Okay, so this is during the same war. So meaning Itachi was also taking place in the same war that Kakashi and Rin and Minato were taking place in. So I can Google search it, but I'm not going to. But either way, we know they were in the same war. I don't know if it was either the first Great Ninja War or the second Great Ninja War, but overall, we know they were at least all in the same war. So this is an interesting question. Let me know what you guys think. Who wins? Kid Kakashi without the Sharingan against Kid Itachi, and then Kakashi with the Sharingan against Kid Itachi. Who do you think actually takes that? Let me know. That, to be honest, that's interesting to me.
車輪ガンは内葉に回収した方が。戦争が終わったばかりだぞ。外にいさかいの種をまくな。はようやくの兵。
死んだ者を嘆き悲しんでも何の意味もないわ。死に意味があるとすればそれが利用できる時だけよ。
命の意味は何ですか？
ないわよ。あるとすれば命が永遠である場合ね。
Mind you, he's so young and he's trying to process all of this, and that's just so sad to really think about too, you know?
Damn,
this motherfucker trying to commit suicide? What the hell? Yeah, wake up call, huh? Wake up.
誰も死にたくなんかないよね。お前たち。命ってなんだろう。
And he's literally just still processing, basically asking himself, what is life?
お大事にね。ありがとうございます。
母さん。
何？
どこか悪いの？
そうじゃないわ。あのね。あなたに弟か妹ができるの。そうよ。あなたはお兄ちゃんになるの。
母さん、俺弟がいい。
あら、妹だって可愛いわよ。
弟の気がする。
He's like, I have a feeling it's going to be a little brother. Motherfucker can see the future, bro. Somehow, some way. Like, come on now. Kid Itachi's just goated, bro.
あら、雪。夏には生まれるわ。
Kid Sasuke's ugly.
男の子よ。あなたの弟。
命だ。新しい命。
名前は決めました？
ああ、サスケだ。内葉サスケ。
あら、いい名前だけど、それって。
ああ、三代目の父上の名だ。三代目には話してある。
そう。
Wow, that's incredible. Lord Third's father's name. And he even asked the third Hokage if that's okay. And he said absolutely sure. Like, that's awesome. I love that, bro. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I forgot that, or I probably did knew, but I just forgot, or I didn't know that. That's really, really interesting. I love that. That just goes to show like how close the Uchiha clan and the Hidden Leaf were actually, you know, as comrades and so on and so forth, despite their history and the differences, you know. But then of course Danzo had to fucking ruin it, and including fucking Tobirama, you know, the two racist cocks, you know. So that's interesting. Very, very interesting. Hang on.
これから手裏剣の練習だから。
じゃあさ、俺たちも手裏剣の練習しようぜ。あ、ダメ。あいつ。やがって生意気ね。
This man dodging like it's nothing.
ちょっと、あんたたちやめなさいよ。
うるせえ。これは男と男の勝負なんだ。
命は生まれる。命は死ぬ。
Okay, hang on. He says life is born, life dies, the war. So he's very conflicted. He doesn't know what to think. Life is a battle. He doesn't know what to think of life. He doesn't know if it's like worth it, if it's necessary, whatever. And then he finally responds back when he didn't have to, but basically puts them all in their place. God damn. Like, I'm sorry, but Kid Obito would get fucking stomped by Kid Itachi. It's like, it's not even a fucking competition. But what I am interested, though, what I actually really do think, though, like please let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of an event, I might even do a video on that eventually. But Kid Itachi versus Kid Kakashi. Who wins that? I think Itachi will probably still take it.
女の子だっけ？男の子よ。かわいい。
God, that was such a badass scene. I loved that. That was badass of Obito. God, I love Obito, bro. Like, he's just staring at the view.
お父さんも仕事だから、サスケをお願いね。
Alright, let's take a look at that. This man literally is just looking, right? Wait, we can't actually, like, see it? That's stupid. But he's just looking, and then you just see him staring, like, just no expression or nothing. Just hates the world, disgusted with it. Oh, that's so fucking cool. That's so badass, bro. Speaking of Obito. And basically, what Itachi was like, what the hell? Like, what is this, like, really evil or, like, negative atmosphere that he's feeling? Like, there's a shift in the air or whatever. And this is when Obito is about to do the Nine Tails attack on the village to where, you know, Minato has to fight and so on and so forth and etc. So, obviously at this time, Obito is in his teen. Obviously, it's Kakashi. What's it called? And so on and so forth. Now, we all know at the end of the fucking day that Obito would have fucking destroyed Kid Itachi at this point. And it actually does happen in one of the novels. They don't show it in... Well, actually, they do show it in the anime, but kind of briefly. I have to find out what episode it was. I can find it and show that. But in the novel and in the anime, they do show it to where... Literally, Obito is like has the yellow mask again, or it's either the yellow or the orange mask. I think it's the yellow. And then literally, not orange mask. Yeah, not like he has like two orange masks. By the way, like he has the yellow mask, and then he has the same exact mask but an orange, and then he has obviously the orange mask with the Akatsuki robes. But anyways, but he pulls up on Itachi's like squad as when Itachi's like at that age as a kid, and he kills them all, and that's how he awakens his Sharingan. So. You know, and if it gets to the point where he's holding Sasuke in his arms and he has a Sharingan and blah blah, and then, you know, he's like, will you eventually have these eyes too? Eyes of pain, you know, like, so just putting that out there. But we're gonna go on to the second one.
Kyuubi!
よしよし泣くなサスケ何があってもお兄ちゃんが絶対守ってあげるからな
口寄せの術
まさか
やれキュービ
サスケよしよしびっくりしちゃったな
So remind you, there's fucking Gennings, Chunings, you name it. And his body's everywhere. Civilians, even military ninja, you name it. And Itachi has Kid Sasuke in his hands. And he's able to dodge around and, you know, and stay alive while the Nine Tails attack is going on. From the Nine Tails. That is very fucking impressive. Okay? And his dad and his mom are nowhere to be found. But it's impressive. That's pretty cool.
こっちに来い早く避難所へ行くよ
And still protecting other people. Holy shit.
こっちだ急げ
先に行ってイタチ君みんないるから
落ち着いてここは大丈夫だ
父さん
お前なら無事で
His dad's like, I knew you would be alright.
避難所へ急げ
事件の全容は未だわからんだ
命は生まれる
がしかし今はただ我々の仲間の死を悼もうではないか
命は死ぬ
So once again, Itachi's still trying to contemplate and understand the process of life itself. You know, life is born, you know, life dies, you know, and so on and so forth and etc. And overall, it's just a very, very tragic reality. He's basically, as a little kid, understanding the core values of life itself and really just trying to process it to a way it makes sense to him, you know? But he's a fucking kid, you know? But the fact that he can even think like this, analyze everything, you know, and so on and so, just goes to show, like, fucking how intelligent he is. He's a genius, you know? Literally, the episode title itself, Itachi Story, Light and Darkness, the Genius, you know? Like, he's just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
イタチくんあの時はありがとう。イタチくんのおかげで助かった。
死なないでよかったね。
Look at Sasuke's face.
抱っこしていい？
ダメだ。
どうして？
泣くと困る。
泣きまちゃんよね。
Bruh, Sasuke had that face and everything. He literally had that face. Like, let's go back to that face. He's like, don't fuck. Look at that. He's like, he's grabbing Itachi. He's like, bro, don't let her touch me. Don't let her touch me, bro. I'll knock her. And then Itachi's like, no, because then he's gonna cry. And she doesn't listen. And then what do you know? He cries. Look at that. That man's like, get off me. He's freaking out and everything. Oh, that's so funny.
よしよし。よしよし。よしよし。
Oh, that's hilarious.
これが内派の基本忍術。カトン豪華級の術だ。いいか？因は順に。
できた。
驚いたな。
This man, as a little fucking kid, knows fireball style jutsu. Like, he's over here about to teach him and everything, you name it, and he does that shit like, he starts doing it before he can even finish. This man is crazy, dude. Like, and mind you, he was way younger than Obito was when he was a kid too. You know what I mean? And that Obito was a little bit more older, and he was able to at least do a fireball style jutsu, you know. But Kid Itachi, he is way younger than that kid Obito, and he was able to do it. Like, that's crazy.
もうすぐ引っ越しだね。
では、イタチ。
因は水遁、水弾の術です。
よろしい。みんな覚えとけ。ここをテストに出すぞ。
Once again, this just clearly goes to show and signify that Itachi's just on a whole other fucking level, bro. Like, he's just beyond. He's up there. He's just going, you know?
来いよ。
よし。始め。
Naruto and Sasuke all over again. Damn, he even caught his head.
それまで。
帯ってなんだ。里ってなんだ。
上記の成績全科目1位か。さすが俺の子だ。
父さん。
ん？
術を教えて。もっと知りたいんだ。忍びのこと。
And then Itachi basically asks his father that he wants to know more about being a shinobi. Now his question and his thought process and mentality is, what is a shinobi? Which is really interesting because, you know, then he gets to eventually to the point where, like, eventually Sasuke has that same type of conversation with the Hokages. He's like, what is a village? What is a shinobi? You know, what is life? What's the, you know, like, overall all that. Mind you, Itachi was thinking about all this and figuring this all out in the beginning, as a little kid, 5 years old, or eventually about to be 6. You know, even contemplating all of it when he was 4 or 3 years old, okay? Sasuke didn't really start thinking about all this until he was a grown freaking teenager, okay? You know, almost an adult. So, it's incredible.
その年でいい腕だな。
止水さんにはかなわない。
よく言う。どうした？
なんだその目は。こらやめかお前ら、全員止まれ。イタチ！
That man did a shadow clone, bro, at that age. Doesn't even have a headband. Oh, I'm done, bro. Oh my god. And see, the whole incredible, like, aspect of that, too, is basically established of, once again, back to, you know, life is born, life dies, you know, and then there's the whole concept of life itself, what is a shinobi, etc. You know, like, why is there evil? Why do people fight? Why is there that, you know, like, and just all that, like, and that's basically everything he's trying to do right now in process. And he just still doesn't understand it so far. Not yet, you know? And it's incredible. So, but yeah. And this also just goes to show how much of a genius he is.
なんだ？消えた。ああ、消えたよ。これは分身、いや影分身の術。
どうした？
戻らないと。
そうか。
止水さん。どう？
またな。
でたちは昨年の卒業課題である分身の術どころか近術にあたる影分身の術までマスターしています。他の全てにおいても優秀で、これ以上アカデミーに置いておく意味はないでしょう。
だがまだ1年ではないのか。
はい。
良いではないか。前例はある。あれらとは時代が違う。今は戦時ではない。そやつ天才なのだろう。
あんな生徒は見たことがありません。
卒業させた方がイタチのためか。
卒業？1年でアカデミーをか？
うん。両親が許可すればって先生が言ってた。父さんに学校に来てほしいって。
そうか。さすが俺の子だ。
ああ、卒業生諸君、これから君たちには里からの任務が与えられるわけだが、今後はスリーマンセルの班を作る。
It's the same bullies. They're like, how the fuck did he graduate already?
その先生の指導のもと任務をこなしていくことになる。では、これから班分けを発表する。
そんな君もなぜかこんな僕はずっと
Alright. Go to the next one. And by the way, the whole reason why I'm even showing you guys everything with Kid Itachi, guys, and you guys are probably like, why is this even all relevant? The reason why it's relevant is it's going to establish a point that I'm going to be basically bringing up in a bit. And overall, it's going to show just how legendary he is as him being a kid, you know, as 3, 4, 5, and then 6 years old. And then further on, and then to the point where he gets, you know, to part 1 as a teen, and then a little bit older in Naruto Shippuden, like, and overall, we all know at the end of the day, with more experience and all that, and so on and so forth, and etc., the more powerful you're going to be in general. And with how gifted he was just as a kid, imagine that as he's getting older and older and more powerful, and then going from Sharingan to 3-Tomo, then to MS, like, Itachi is a beast. He's a fucking beast. All that happens in this mission is Itachi backpacking and even being more powerful than his leader. That's really all it is. That's why I'm not going over it.
救われるのもまた命。いや、あの時あいつを助けたのはそんなに深い思いがあったわけじゃない。
Okay, so overall, what's it called? I didn't like show it all visually wise, but basically what happens in this episode is they go on, Itachi goes on another mission as a Genin, and he's basically backpacking the entire mission. You know, it's like something with the cat with the Uchiha and all that. And basically, his leader and his teammates are struggling to get it, and Itachi succeeds and completes the mission. Not the leader, remind you, he does, and he also saves his comrades as well. So, and that's basically how it goes every mission. Like, he's even more powerful than his own leader, which is pretty fucking sad. Okay, that's like Sasuke being more powerful than Kakashi. It's insane to even like to comprehend. But overall, and then it gets to back to his thought process right now, because once again, he's still trying to understand life itself. The pain of living.
兄さん、これ何？これはあの時の。
Life is born, and life dies, but life is saved again.
救われるのもまた命。いや、あの時あいつを助けたのはそんなに深い思いがあったわけじゃない。仲間やけん、助けるとは当たり前やん。一族が強い、里が生まれ、そして関わった者たち。それを仲間というのなら。
We were friends, no doubt about it. We formed a bond. That's why that happened. We had a bond.
あいつは
この借りは必ず返すからな。
So this is exactly what I was saying, and this is when it gets really fucking intense and tragic for Itachi even more. Mind you, he's basically been analyzing life over and over and over. He realizes life dies, it lives, is born, yada yada. Was in fucking the Great Ninja War as fucking either 3 or 4 years old, okay? Fucking, you know, so it's like everything we've seen so far, and then all the bullies and the violence and the, you know, and just, you name it, just the sad reality of life itself, okay? And overall, then when he has a bond, when he has friends, and he realizes all these other things that we just saw, remind you, okay, then it all disappeared, and now he's very confused because he's like, life was saved, blah blah, this and that, yada yada. But then now they all got taken away because I had a bond, I lost it, you know. To where then Obito comes up, slaughters his friends and his leader and everyone that they were supposed to protect him for the mission. Itachi can't do anything. He's literally traumatized and like just can't move or nothing by fear itself, and you name it, due to the immense amount of power that Obito has, because Obito has an MS, Kamui, and has fucking Zetsu cells inside of him, so he has infinite vision of light, okay? Can't run out. Basically an EMS, alright? And literally, like, fucking that level of power pulls up on him when he's a Genin as a kid. What the fuck is he supposed to do? You know, like, Itachi would fold Kid Obito any fucking day of the minute, you know? Would destroy him. But when you have Itachi against this version of Obito, when he gets even older, with MS and Zetsu cells and all that, or better yet, this version of Obito that was able to summon the fucking Nine Tails, and he pulls up, remind you, this guy fought Minato, the 4th Hokage, okay? And he pulled up on Itachi as a Genin. Imagine that, bro. That's even worse than fucking Orochimaru pulling up on Sasuke and Naruto and Sakura. Like, that's just horrible, you know? And I'll be honest, like, with Obito, I'm assuming he did this to awaken Itachi's Sharingan and all that, but it is crazy. It really is. Because at that point, it really just goes to show the confusion and the perplexity of him being able to grasp life at all, you know? He didn't understand back then what real pain was. the pain of losing a life instead of being able to save it. I felt it for the first time, and after losing it, no. I was made to realize it. The feeling of not wanting to lose something precious. 3 Tomo Sharingan. Mind you, not 1, not 2, 3 Tomo. He already has 3 fucking Tomo, bro. He's like, will the day come when you possess these eyes too? The pain of living, the eyes of pain itself. So sad. Absolutely so sad. To know what sadness is. Basically how it works for the Sharingan. Either sadness or ridiculous amount of pure emotion to where you can awaken, whether it's to protect someone or just, you know, a big surge of emotion. I think happiness can count too. So, but overall, it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's really, really crazy. So, now we have that. 3 years. So, meaning when he was 5, that's when he was still at the academy and everything and all that. And then when 3 years passed, that's when he was, you know, what's it called? Then he's been again for about 3 years. And he's 8. Okay, and he awakened the Sharingan 8. That's incredible. Just insane. And right now, Itachi's getting very pissed off and sad because he's like, this isn't good. I'm not happy about this. I went through so much trauma and sadness and pain. That's why I have these eyes right now, Dad. I don't need you to say you're proud of me because of my pain, sadness, and tragedy. So that's why he clenched his fist.
死んだんだよ、父様。
しかしシャリンガンを手に入れたからといって慢心してはいかんぞ。その目の力を伸ばすためにも精進は続けねばならん。いや、お前には言わずもがなか。何せ俺の子だからな。
仲間が死んだんだ。それなのに父さん。はい、父さん。これからも精進を続けたいと思います。では、行ってきます。
He had so much anger and pain and emotion, yet he had so much self-control and was being calm and collective and buried his anger and his frustration and pain deep down. Instead of, because 9 times out of 10, any kid would probably lash out at their father at that point. Any fucking kid. I probably would have, you know? And instead he just beats the bigger person and responds respectfully and professionally, you know? Just, you know, wow. Sad.
そうか。そういうことだ。さて、2つ目の演習。
That's very, very, very important. Regardless of detective skills, tracking skills, you name it, so on and so forth. The most important thing is if you're able to understand the mentality or the mindset of a human being and being able to understand that they are drastically different from you and so on and so forth and be able to interpret and etc., that alone would give you enough grasp to where detective skills, or better yet, even, you know, like fucking tracking skills are basically irrelevant at that point, to where if you understand your opponent or who you're actually trying to find, you would know actually exactly where they would more than likely be. By really knowing and understanding someone's character, personality, their goals, their intentions, etc., by knowing them and having that intel, that goes a long, long way. To where you can basically be able to figure out things instantly without having to obtain evidence to come to that same conclusion. Mind you, Itachi is fighting Anbu level elite ninja with no Sharingan either. Insane.
子供とて容赦せぬぞ。少しは楽しませてよ。
God damn.
お前のお友達が戦っている相手は目の中でも残忍なくの一だ。早く止めれば命がない。降参しろ。
内派をなめるな。それにあいつは優秀だ。
シャリンガン。
常に二重三重に絡み手を混ぜてくる。でも子供と思ったがすでに車輪ガンを。見える。これが車輪ガンの力。戦いに正当も下道もない。でもあなたの攻撃はもう全て見切った。
それはどうだかね。お前はすでに私の罠の中なんだよ。
She don't listen.
子供にしちゃ上出来さ。なぜだ。
言ったはずだ。全て見切った。
He said it.
あなたの投げた糸付きにわずかに軌道を変えさせてもらった。乗れ、うちか。
Tell you, Itachi's no joke.
イタチも大丈夫のようならこっちも終わらせる。瞬身の術。
影分身。いや、単なる残像分身か。
残像ならばすぐに感知で本体を見極めてやるよ。あれ、おかしいな。実体が見当たらない。
This motherfucker is moving so fast as a kid, he's creating after images. Holy shit.
飛ばない。つまり質量はない。しかし攻撃は重い。これは一体。
Man took body flicker to a
俺
whole
の
other level.
瞬身の術に実体はない。しかし全てが実体とも言える。演習
You
を
would've
監
got
視
him
して
right
いる
there.
常人たちが気づいたようだ。しかし全てが実体とも言える。演習を監視している常人たちが気づいたようだ。
Then the joining are like, hey, that's enough.
我らは常に闇の中より見ているぞ。内派止水、内派イタチ。
They went in there and bodied them, bro. It was 3-on-2 as well. So there, from basically what we just saw right there, that clearly goes to show how incredible Itachi is. You know, regardless of even Shishu, I'm not even to get with him. Itachi's no fucking joke. He just got his Sharingan, and mind you, it's already a 3 Tomo. Okay, Sasuke didn't get his 3 Tomo until what? When he fought against Naruto in the Valley of the End? But regardless of that, you know, like, this motherfucker is fighting Anbu level members, Elite Ninja. That is insane. Okay, absolutely insane. As a fucking Genin. 8 years old.
致命傷ではない。気にす。
そのもの。
何より無事でよかった。後日また詳しく話を聞かせ。
正義と呼べるものがあるのかどうかもわからない。
He says, I don't know if there is such a thing as justice in the shinobi world. We fight believing in our own injustice, but if the enemy is doing the same thing, who's right? He has a point. You realize that during today's exercise. There's more one side to an issue. We must consider things from various viewpoints. That's the most important thing in human nature, and I'm so glad Naruto fucking illustrates that perfectly, because it you know, when I was able to understand that in my life, it greatly helps. Okay, you know, overall, like basically what Shishui is just saying is you must be capable of understanding various viewpoints, meaning being open-minded to various perspectives in life. Okay, at the end of the day, there's no black and white. You know, you have the left side A, side B, and side C, and so on and so forth. And if you could be able to understand all of that and really just direct, you know, that intellect and mentality to be able to understand various viewpoints, overall, you will be a very, very incredible, intelligent human being and know how to overcome any obstacle in life, period. Or better yet, establish a setting of peace or be able to de-escalate as much as possible.
車輪ガンを使って疲れたか。眠っていいんだぞ。
助
See, one thing I didn't like about that scene, and what actually goes down in the manga and in the novel, I believe, is where Itachi actually uses Tsukiyomi on the girl he's in love with, which is her, and he literally gives her an entire lifetime of her and him being together, to where they have kids, they get married, the whole 9 yards, you name it, very peaceful, loving life, okay? And then, you know, she dies to old age, and the moment she dies, and mind you, she lived about, 90-something years, or 100 years, but in the real world, it happens in just a second, you know? And then that's it. And in the show, in the anime, though, they show Obito killing her. I don't know why they did that. I felt like that would have been really cool to see, but whatever.
Genjutsu.
Doesn't need to use his eyes to use Genjutsu, bitch. Well, actually, no, he imprinted, I forgot.
今日からあなたの部下となります。
俺に刃を向けた時の暗示を仕込んでおいた。
最初から信用していなかったのか。
That's crazy though that you can actually cast a Genjutsu way back in the past, and if someone tries to attack you, you can initiate it just from that one time you had eye contact. That's fucking crazy. I thought he just did like a finger Genjutsu or like what he did before, because he can use Genjutsu without using his eyes.
二重スパイだった。木の葉の目であり、内葉の目であったんだ。本当はどちらのスパイだったのか、今でもわからない。
十蔵。お前がイタチとツーマンセルを組め。
ついてきな、しおゆり。
Imagine Itachi and Tendo Pain being the duo team for a little bit. Rinnegan and Sharingan. Hey. Amaterasu makes Tailed Beast basically irrelevant. It's literally like the instant KO ability for Tailed Beast. It's not even fair. Which, it's interesting because in the Valley of the End, you know, Naruto utilizes like the Kyuubi chakra cloak and uses it as like a glob to make the black flames go off him. But yet, full transformations or V2 cloaks, if they get hit by it, they can't do that. You know, which I'm assuming is because it's more black flames and it's completely all over them, you know, but I don't know, that's the one thing that is interesting. Better than that, every time Amaterasu is used on a Tailed Beast, it instantly kills them. Or, you know, KOs them, basically.
俺はあんたのご機嫌の取り方を知らない。なんだとてめえ。じゃあ組んで教えてやる。
待って、イタチ君とは私が組むわ。てめえ俺をコケにする。
God, I would love to see Itachi fucking fold Kakazu in half and just embarrass him with Genjutsu alone. That shit would be so hilarious.
暁には新しいメンバーが必要だ。その時までこの件は保留にする。
Maru effortlessly, he also threatens Kakazu and says, you know, well, we can be partners, but, you know, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'll be able to cater to your moods. Basically roasting his shit, you know, and then Kakazu, oh, you want to test that out and fight? You know, and then Orochimaru's like, oh, no, I'll just be his partner, whatever. And then Pain's like, no, well, don't worry about that. I'll figure this out in a bit soon. And then basically Itachi's walking by himself. Orochimaru's being a pedophile and following him. Gets bodied, one shot. And then Kabuto comes to, you know, help him out. They run away, whatever. And then now they get sent to go get Datara, okay, which for Datara, remind you, you know, fucking, he's just, you know, guy that uses art and explosions. And Itachi bodies him too, and you're about to see that as well. Which basically all this does is establish Itachi being on a higher level and scaling in the way up in the ladder in the food chain in the Akatsuki. And overall, like, Itachi's is way, way above them. Like, literally you have everyone in the Akatsuki, and then you have Itachi, Obito, and Pain. Obito, Pain, and Itachi are basically the three powerhouses. So Kasame as well. Sorry, Kasame is no fucking joke.
爆破テロを起こしているのはあなたですね。抜け人のあなたが何の目的でそんなことを？
目的？そんなもんありゃしねえよ。オイラは依頼を受けて爆発を起こすだけだ。オイラの作品でな。
うざいな。終わりですか？
さあな。もういい。俺がやろう。
The moment he uses his eyes. Instant, like, scratch across the headband, bruh. Oh, that's hilarious. Now, in the fight with Sasuke versus Deidara, they actually go back to this moment, and they show exactly how Itachi beats him. If you guys are ever curious, I'm not going to show that, but he basically just uses Genjutsu and beats him.
言っとくが、オイラは芸術の追求はやめねえからな。だけど、
ないだ。
てやる。だいたいあのデタラメな術は何だ。
何か知っているか。おそらく二代目火影が開発した江戸天聖の術だ。死者を蘇らせ、自分の意のままに操る。殺そうにも殺せない。だから封印術を使うか、力ずくで動きを拘束するしかないだろう。
オロチマルを殺せばいいんだろう。
それでも江戸天聖隊は止まらないはずだ。
なんだよそれは。
今後オロチマルに関して注意を払う。生きていれば何らかの動きがあるだろう。
普通あの爆発で死
That's
んでねえ
crazy
はず
that
だ。
even if you do kill the caster reanimation jutsu, that doesn't stop it. That's fucking insane. Holy fuck, it's broken. So meaning that if you don't know the signs to get rid of it, or if you don't have a sealing jutsu, you're basically fucked.
ないんだがな。
ここに来るやつは皆普通じゃねえからな。
不死身ということではもう一人現れた。
湯の国からの依頼だ。殺人鬼が現れたので退治してほしいそうだ。
あそこには湯隠れの忍びがいるだろうが。
彼らでは殺せないそうなの。
その殺人鬼が不死身というわけか。
じゃあそいつもオロチマルの江戸なんとかとかか。
今回は編成を変えてメンバーを派遣する。
And I love how they're throwing that out there, like, oh, so we found another immortal, blah blah, this and that, because technically Orochimaru and Kakazu are considered immortals of their own nature, and then they're like, oh, we found another one, and blah blah, and then Itachi's like, well, you guys found another immortal, like, damn, you know, so because you got a Teidan, Orochimaru, and then Kakazu, and they are immortal in their own ways, which is a clear implication that Itachi's well aware of his, like, all, you know, his partner's abilities and whatnot, so on and so forth, or that there's immortals in the group and etc.
に入らねえか。
に殺したくて殺したな。
殺戮がしたいのなら別のやり方もある。何か目的があってのことだろ
う。やはり俺をイラッとさせやがるな、てめえは。それでお前は俺がイタチを殺さないように見張りに来たのか。
他に感知タイプがいないから。それに他のメンバーではとてもおとりにはなれないから。
おとり？
言った。
どういうものなの？
天性ではないよ
うだ。ならどういう不死身か俺が試してやる。
なんだお前ら、揃いの服着て楽団か、音楽ユニットか。そこな、鬱陶しそうなのがベースで、姉ちゃんがボーカル兼キーボード。いや、ボーカルはそっちの姉ちゃんか。
そんなんじゃねえ。
こりゃ邪神様も喜びそうな生贄だ。
どうした？逃げてばっかりか。逃がすかよ。なんだよ、もう終わりか。
いっていじゃねえかよ。おお、神の裁きを下してやるぜ。
I love Kakazu's face. He's like, oh shit, he is immortal.
More. いらねえんだよ。不死身の噂は本当らしいな。
さあ、儀式の始まりだぜ。 全ての準備は整った。死ね。白の像一突きだ。てめえ気持ちいい。邪神様に栄光。
てめえよくもやってくれたな。
おいおい、なんで死なねえんだよ。
撃ち殺す。
できねえよ。
何か分かった？
奴は各自の血を舐め儀式といったが。
で死なねえんだよ。
撃ち殺す。
できねえよ。
何か分かった？
奴は各自の血を舐め儀式といったが、あれも何らかの術だろう。自分の受けたダメージを血を舐めた相手にも与えるんだ。だが不死身のわけはわからない。
二人を分けてくれる？
対峙するんじゃないのか。
ええ。
Alright. And then Itachi comes in and fucking tells him to stop fighting, like, enough, children, enough.
イタチ何の真似だ。
仲間に誘うそうだ。
あんなやつをか。
冗談だろ。断る。暁だかなんだか知らねえが、俺には邪神教の布教という使命がある。
まるでない。サスケ、お前は無事でいるのか。
I love that. He says, Sasuke, are you safe? Damn. So in a nutshell, what we got from there was basically, you know, Pain sending out Itachi and Kasame and Sasori to go get Datara. Itachi bodies Datara. And then you have, you know, them to go out and retrieve Hidon. And basically Kakazu fights Hidon. And then Hidon basically kills Kakazu. You know what I mean? Because Kakazu didn't have intel on him or whatever. And then basically they're about to go at it again. And then Itachi, like, stops them from fighting. He's like, alright, enough. You know, brings them to the Akatsuki. They join. And then basically now we're at the point where after the third Hokage was assassinated by Orochimaru and etc. So, and then basically this kind of uncovers all the actual thoughts and real true intentions that Itachi had while he's playing the double agent.
Sasuke, 許せ。
容赦ないですね。
憎め、この俺を。
お前は弱い。今から24時間、あの日をさまよい。
For 24 fucking hours? Goddamn, Itachi!
弟相手につくよみですか。
いい加減に。
サスケ、これで最後だ。
Oh, I can't believe he actually said those words, though. Consideration. Overall, he's a fucking prodigy. He's a genius. He is absolutely incredible. From the moment he was 3 to 4 years old, participating in a war, effortlessly surviving, and so on and so forth. Then to the moment where he's 5 years old, acing the academy, so on and so forth. You know, everything is easy. You learn Shadow Clone, you name it. Just constantly moving in an insane, incredible path of just prodigy and genius prowess, you know. And overall, he graduates from the academy while he's 5 years old and about to turn 6, okay? And then while he's beginning, well, you know, he's still 5 or he's 6, whatever. And 3 years pass, you know, whatever. He's beginning, doing what he's normally doing, whatever. And then literally at the age of 8, he joins the fucking Anbu, okay? Now he's in the Anbu, okay, which is ridiculous. Well, actually, he was beginning at the age of 8, so on and so forth, etc. And then he joins the Anbu, or at that young age, which is absolutely fucking incredible, okay? well, before he even joins the Anbu, he awakens his Sharingan after Obito slaughters all his teammates and everything. And basically, he understands the core aspects and values of what it is to be a shinobi, what is life, there's birth, there's death, then, the aspect of, hatred, and then understanding, what it means to be an Okage, all of that fucking stuff, you name it. Okay, and I'm not going to show the episode, but the episode where it establishes what he already knew what it meant to be an Okage was actually during when Sasuke was asking the first Okage, what is an Okage, what is a village, what is a shinobi, and basically he tells to the first Okage that Itachi already knew what it meant to be as an Okage from the moment, he was a little kid, and it shows him as like a little kid putting his hand up, so overall, like, he was a fucking prodigy. Itachi knew all the core values of everything, basically. But what he was still confused and conflicted on was able to process it and to be able to find a way to understand it all. That's what he was struggling, which it makes sense. Everyone would struggle with that. Everyone struggles with it in their own ways. That's what makes us all human, or better yet, shinobi in the Naruto universe, okay? So, overall, that's basically that. And then as it continues forward, okay, he slaughters his entire Uchiha clan with Obito's aid, okay? He also makes a deal and makes a threat to Obito as well, makes a threat to Danzo, okay? And Obito established his side of the deal, basically saying do not use his Sharingan against him, otherwise the deal is off. And other than that, things just go forward from there, yada, yada, yada. And then overall, it eventually goes further on, and then Itachi's in the Akatsuki spine and everything, fights, the fourth Mizukage, beats him with a Mataratsu, beats Deidara. He then fucking stops Kakazu and Hidon from fighting. Gets involved with that. Just continues to just do things. Then becomes Kasame's partner. Puts Kasame in his place at a certain point. Kind of educating him on the path of what it means to be a ninja, so on and so forth. There's a lot. There's a lot with Itachi. Overall, he was always way up above in the ladder. Always. Okay. He was always teaching people. He was always giving people advice or wisdom, and he was always correcting people, and he would also roast people when they deserved it as well. Itachi was basically like a godfather to everyone. Okay, he was a prodigy, he was a genius, he was absolutely fucking ridiculously powerful. He was so broken to the point where Kishimoto literally kind of dig his own grave and had to fucking give him a crippling sickness in order to nerf him and make him be able to be beaten. Okay, or better yet, went up more on the path narratively and whatnot to where Itachi, wanted Sasuke just to overall kill him in the end anyways. That was his goal, whatever. So, but overall, that's just basically it, and then obviously, you have the whole fight with Sasuke and all that and etc. And then everything that happens with Obito, where he had as a plan, just in case of Obito's Sharingun locked eyes with Sasuke's Sharingun, all that stuff goes on, and then it gets to the war where Itachi's finally brought back, and it goes from there. And that's the only thing we haven't covered yet. We also didn't cover the Kasame stuff and whatnot, but that's not really not that too big of a deal. I don't really need to prove and show that Itachi was even higher than Kasame. We all should already know that. But overall, that's basically it. So now, what we're going to do is we are going...
Katon, Goukakyu no Jutsu.
God damn, a big ass fireball.
サメ肌か。なら貴様もすでに。
まだ喋ってんのに。後ろで操ってるやつの言いなり。タイミングなんて関係ない。
That was a big ass fireball.
上だ。
わかってる。
サスケはどうなった。
この葉へ復讐するつもりだってばよ。暁のメンバーに入っちまった。
なぜサスケは里へ帰らない。
あんたの極秘任務のことを聞かされて、そんで里を潰すことを選んだんだ。極秘任務、
まさかマダラが。
俺もあんたの本当のことをマダラから聞いた。
So overall, what we've seen so far is clearly Itachi being able to throw hands with KCM 1 Naruto, which is very, very impressive because we all know at the end of the day, KCM 1 Naruto is more powerful than base Naruto and Sage 1 Naruto, okay? Well, better yet, let me say, like, Sage 1 Naruto is relative to KCM 1 Naruto in certain degrees, but at the end of the day, KCM 1 Naruto is way more powerful than Sage 1 Naruto. Okay, which is why he even says I'm more powerful than I was when I fought against Pain, and so on and so forth, and etc. And Nagato even admits that as well and acknowledges it. So overall, like the scaling is obvious. KCM 1 Naruto does scale over base and Sage 1 Naruto. But the fact that Itachi was able to even fight against him, which is Taijutsu alone, which we do know KCM 1 Naruto has increased speed, strength, durability, etc. Like, for God's sake, he's utilizing the Nine Tails fucking chakra, okay? You know, it's very, very fucking impressive. Now, to say that Itachi has Yellow Flash Minato's level speed or Fourth Hokage, I don't know about all that because Naruto isn't utilizing that speed blitz as of now either. So, like, he basically can't control it fully. There's moments where he overshoots, there's moments where he does it perfectly, and then there's points where he's not even doing it at all and he's just fighting in that form. So, meaning overall that he's not constantly using that level of speed. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like Minato where he's just spamming that shit or always using it. So, that's something to put into consideration. But other than that, overall, it still is very impressive that Itachi can go hand to hand with KCM 1 Naruto and Taijutsu.
こともないか。
あんたそんなキャラだったか？
西野だ。分かってる。オッケー。カトン、砲線かつまめに。
捕まえたぜバカ野郎この野郎
図体がでけえ割にゃあっけなかったってなよ。
油断するなナルト
なんだってばよこれ。
剣術。俺の目を直接見るな。
いて目を覚ませウィーさるほど
ピエロちゃん気をつけろ。アマテラスもつくみを食らったら終わりだぞ。万華鏡車輪ガンだ。どうなったんだ。
アマテラス。
外した。
あのカラスお前のだなあのカラスで何をしたんだ
侮っていた内ハイたちこいつは普通のやつとは明らかに違うこの江戸転生の術まで
うまくいった。
そういうことか
アマテラス。
来た。
落ち着け。もう俺は操られてはいない。さあ打ち消されるためにことあまの万華鏡は切られ
ない。
内は止水万華鏡車輪最強現実。スサノ
いいかよバカ野郎この野郎
ペイン陸道っつって陸道仙人の力を持ってんだから、そりゃ強えよ。それに今回は死体操ってるんじゃなく本人だから、力も動きも桁違いだ。
そうだ、まだ星にして捕まえるってのもあるな。
自爆転生
来るぞ。あの黒い玉、相当の引力があるようだ。
この術前にもやられた。マジやべえ、マジやべえ。これも食らったら終わりだ。
おいナルト、
何？
食らって終わりならお前はなんで生きてる？
なら大丈夫、この勝負
って笑ってる場合じゃねえんだよ。なんでこの状況で余裕ぶっかませんだよ。いいか、捕まったら二度と抜け出せねえ。すんげえ力で引きつけられんだぞ。前の時はキュービな暴走でたまたまどうにかなったんだけど。
余裕でいるんじゃない。分析には冷静さがいる。さっき長門が投げた黒い塊が中心の核になってると見ていい。おそらくあれを破壊すれば3人おのおのの最強遠距離忍術で一斉に中央を攻撃する。中央からのこの強すぎる吸引力を逆に利用する算段だ。どんな術にも弱点となる穴は必ずある。
So that right there is something very, very important for everyone to put into consideration. This is exactly what I was saying. Itachi is basically the Batman of Naruto. And what I mean by that is this guy, okay, understands that every jutsu has a weakness. Everyone has weaknesses. No one is invincible. No one is, unstoppable, okay? And it just takes for you to have the intelligence and the proper analysis and being calm and collective to be able to counter it or beat that person, which is something Itachi has always been able to prove and always do time and time again. Okay, he's never seen Jibaku Tensei. Okay, never seen any of the other abilities. He was analyzing from a distance, so on and so forth. Kind of like, he was watching Naruto and Killer Bee get their ass whooped because he wanted to see what the powers and abilities he could do to come up with counters and strategies. Which is more than likely why he wasn't helping at first. And then he helps when it's like getting really serious with his Susanoo. And then Kabuto's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I can also use that big meteor thing, okay? Which, I'm going to be honest, if Kabuto just did Jibaku Tensei from the start, they would have been sealed and captured. It would have just been GG and that's it. So, but since, Itachi did his Mangekyo Sharingan, because Kabuto didn't know, that immediately activated the contingency plan Itachi had that was supposed to be used on Sasuke. So, overall, fucking, if Kabuto just used Nagato from the beginning, he wouldn't even really have to use Itachi. It would have just been GG. Or better yet, if he just did Jibaku Tensei, it would have been GG. And that would have been the end of the war. But, there has to be some writing and story. Otherwise, it would have just ended from there. So, but anyways, overall, this is a perfect example. And if Itachi can be able to figure out the weakness or understand that everything has a weakness and be able to exploit that with Jibaku Tensei, okay, there's no way you're going to tell me he can't do the same against Kamui. That is just something to put into consideration. I will just put that out there, but a lot of people really don't understand that is what Itachi is mainly known for, is exploiting weaknesses. And then while Nagato can't see because of smoke and everything and destruction, Itachi uses that split moment to seal him. Because he knew if he didn't do that, Itachi would have lost that fight. I'm sorry. There's no way Itachi would have been able to win that.
長友め、やはり機動力に欠けていたか。口寄せ輪ネガンによる共通視界で機動力を補うつもりが、視覚から苦内を当てるイタチの手裏剣術、さすがにかわせなかったか。そろそろとっておきを出すしかないね。
And that's another thing. Itachi was analyzing everything, the summonings, Nagato and all that, and he was immediately able to come with a strategy and a counter method to be able to not only get rid of all the blinds, to counter, to make all the blind spots not be able to be read, but he stopped all of those just with kunine, okay, and then created that big, ash and utilized his smoke because he can see with the shotgun and all that, and Nagato could see as well. But he basically exploited Nagato's lack of mobility, meaning that apparently Nagato wouldn't have enough speed in order to dodge the fucking Susanoo blade. Okay, therefore meaning that, unless he has Rinnegan eyes, like someone actually looking and watching to compensate for the mobility, and so on and so forth, whether if it's a summons or if it's past the pains, whatever, that he's basically fucked, So meaning that if he can't use that or any of that, he would either have to use Shinra Tensei, or use his absorbing, ability. But then again, Nagato didn't do that, which I guess the only reason why he didn't do that, which that would be his last resort, is one, Kabuto's fucking controlling him. So that is a nerf itself. Kabuto doesn't, he's not Nagato at the end of the fucking day. Okay. Two, there was a big ash of fucking smoke in front of him. Okay. And for all you know, he just didn't even know and saw it coming. Because that's the thing, the Rinnegan can see chakra and everything and so on and so forth, but what it can't see, what you could argue is that it can't see, the spiritual, fucking manifestation of energy or whatever, because I know the Susanoo is chakra itself. It is chakra. But I don't know. It's weird, to be honest. I'm not really going to elaborate too further on that. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, Kabuto did explain why he got hit. Nagato lacks the mobility to be able to move and be fast enough and so on and so forth. At least when it comes to Itachi's Susanoo strike. So, and which is why he had his summons and all the other Rinnegan things in order to compensate for that lack of mobility. Or better yet, utilize his other abilities, but he couldn't even do that because, he couldn't see for some reason. So, or it was just too fast and he couldn't even do Shinra Tensei or this. Or I don't know, so, but there's a lot you can infer from that, but overall, Itachi wins.
やはり千人モードの力を。
オロチマルと同じだ。出来損ないの蛇が。
耳が、それに骨がきしむようだ。
光と音で視覚と聴覚を、空気振動を起こして感覚を麻痺させ動きを止める術。
Damn.
蛇の角膜で視界を閉じて光を無視し、体内を液化して音と振動に柔軟に耐える。この状況で動けるのは千人仕様の僕だけだ。ダメだ、スサノオを維持できない。やはり狙うはイタチ。頭の中の札を書き換えてまたコマにするか。いや、それよりイタチ、
君はどうやら僕の居場所を嗅ぎ当てるのが上手らしい。僕のチャクラを感知できてるのかな。でもあれれ、僕の結界を通り抜け、よくここが分かったね。
お前に操られている間、お前のチャクラがどこから来ているかははっきり感じていた。これも術のリスクだ。
君はお前に操られている間って言ったはず。なら今は僕のチャクラは感じ取れていないってことだよね。またお得意の嘘で僕を騙そうと。
お前のチャクラを感知できたのは誰も俺だとは言ってない。それができたのは一緒にいた長門だけだ。俺にそんな力はない。
Dumbass
それに今にしてもお前がどこを狙うかははっきりしている。なら先にそこを守ればいい。利を求め慎重なお前がサスケを欲しがってるなら先にサスケを。
To be honest, I didn't even know Nagato has sensory abilities. That he could be able to sense like that, which that's interesting because if he has sensory like that, you would think he wouldn't have got hit by fucking Itachi's Susano then. He should have just been able to move, right? You know? Or maybe the way his sensor works is he's able to pinpoint people's locations but not utilize it in a way like Sagemo does, to where it sense like danger and all that, you know? And to be able to dodge accordingly and etc. I think that's what it is. It's more of like, you know, knowing where you're at.
君が内派一族の中で他と違うのは本当の意味での動力だ。人の心を見透かし心を読む。そしてそれを戦いに利用する。だからこそ人を騙すのがうまい。そもそも君は嘘を突き通して死んだ根っからの嘘つき忍者だしね。
So far, what I got from that episode with Itachi and everything, as you guys can tell, so he utilizes like one of the, you know, very unique and broken ass abilities of the Mangekyo Sharingan, or basically the Sharingan itself. I don't think necessarily you have to have the MS in order to cast, to cast that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you do. Overall, it doesn't matter. And he knows that Kabuto is very, very fucking powerful. And, you know, he's using Sage Moon and all that. And then he also has Sasuke that he's trying to protect as well, because Sasuke is out of his league currently. And then not only that, what's it called? You know, Itachi also has to hold back, and he can't kill him because he needs to literally utilize him to release the reanimation jutsu. So there's a lot of disadvantages that Itachi has. So meaning the only way to really be able to actually defeat Kabuto in this current situation, to make sure Sasuke doesn't die and to make sure that they complete their mission, etc., is actually to just fucking cast the broken ass, you know, Sharingan ability, which I think is called Izanagi or something like that. And basically, from what you saw, his eye moved and everything, and did like a flash of light. And then now he basically just starts establishing steps by steps, which the first thing was like the feathers, the second was cutting off his horn, and then you'll see everything else afterwards. So, and he was able to do that just by looking at him. Okay? So, meaning overall, if Itachi really wants to, he could cast that fucking jutsu on basically about anyone, and it forces you to basically find yourself and to basically become good in the end, which is fucking insane, okay? And so, if he could do that to a Sage Mode user, you know what I mean? He could basically do that to about anyone, and that's pretty fucking impressive.
が最初に俺をその刀で突き刺した時だ。
あの時か。しかしどうやって。視覚に訴えることなくはめる道術があると言っていたが、視覚じゃない道術とはどういうことだ。
イザナミは自分と相手二人の体の感覚によってはめる道術だ。
二人の体の感覚。
行動の中の任意の一瞬、その一瞬の己と相手の体の感覚を一度同日で写真のように記憶する。仮にそれを A とする。さらに時の流れの中でより印象的な場面を B、C と次々にシャリンガンで記憶する。一定の瞬間を記憶したら前に記憶した A と同じ体の感覚をわざともう一度再現させた A ダッシュを作る。イザナミは その A と A ダッシュを重ね、さらには B ダッシュ C ダッシュを再現することにより一定の時間の中をさまよわせる。つまり無限ループを作る能力だ。もちろん失明することと引き換えにする。イザナギと同じにな。
兜の意識はその幻のイタチと俺を相手にずっと無
So
限に続く
basically, what Tachi just stated, all he would have to do, okay, is do A, B, and C, basically like photographs, like if a camera was taking pictures, and he can cast it immediately from the moment A is made, from that moment. So for instance, A was when he got stabbed by Kabuto, okay? So that's A, and then from there, then it does B and C naturally, depending on like how the battle is going. And then all you have to do in order to get it to fully go into effect is replicate A. So meaning he had to just get stabbed again, which happens again at the other moment like Kabuto did. And then bam, it's immediately launched, and bam, it all connects. And bam, you have a broken-ass visual genjutsu that doesn't require eyesight, and instead it's just based on the physical senses of your opponent, which is pretty insane.
の中で閉じ込められるってわけか。
いや、この術にはそのループから抜け出る道が用意されている。そもそもイザナミはイザナギの10者を戒め救うために作られた術だからな。
どういうことだ？
イザナギはお前も少し知っているようだが、あれは運命を変える内派の完璧な道術だと言われていたそうだ。己の結果にうまくいかないことがあれば、その結果をかき消し元に戻れる。いわば都合のいい結果だけを選び取っていける仕組みだ。これから語るのはイザナギと対をなすイザナミが誕生した内。のいざ視覚相手に視覚では現実にはめられないからな。
お前も俺に歯向かうというのなら仕方がない。
That's A.
争い以外にも解決策はあるはずよ。
俺の手はすでに血で染まっている。立ち止まることなど許されるはずもない。
あなたは自分を分かってない。自分自身の本当の力を分かってないのよ。
黙れ！
B. C.
今なら引き返せる。その意志があるのならば私の手を。
騙されるか。
Hey, she has the Mangeki of the Sharingan too. Shadow clone of substitution. That's one way to do it. Yep.
どうしても言うことが
Okay, so she just replicated A, so now it's going to go into effect.
この俺の背後を取るとはやるな。だがイザナギがある限り俺を倒すことはできん。次で終わらせる。
Oh wait, no, now she's doing A. What? So basically, you do like photo A, okay, which is what she did in the beginning. Then as like the battle was continuing, B and C will happen naturally. And then once B and C is made, you only have to do A one more time, which is basically what she does, and then it immediately starts. And then she used substitution jutsu, what's it called as well, to kind of test his will and everything to see if he would stop, but he didn't. So then she's like, all right, fuck it. And she enabled the jutsu and activated it, and now he's in it. So it's a broken-ass jutsu. It literally forces you to become good. And it's arguable that maybe some other people can know it, but then again, it's
あな
Itachi's
た
the
の
only
頼
one
り
that's
とす
ever
るイ
used
ザ
it.
ナギはあなたを守ってはくれない。黙れ。まだだ。
そもそも現実とは運命という名の偶然の産物だ。我々には予想がつかない。だがイザナギは都合の悪い現実をねじ曲げ、新たな運命を導く。本来の現実を10社の都合だけで新たな現実へと変えてしまう。敵からすれば倒したはずの相手が復活するのだからたまったものではない。そこでイザナミはイザナギで己の結果を都合のいいように変えようとすると、一生同じところをぐるぐるとループさせる。
イザナギが究極の道術だと思っていたが、イザナミはその上を行く道術ということか。イザナギの現実をねじ曲げる体感がイザナミのループを呼ぶことになるとはな。
だがイザナミはイザナギを止めるための術、ちゃんとそのループから抜け出る道も作られ。
It's a simple process. I just want to make sure I was really understanding it. And that's basically all we're going to see with Itachi there. We know what happens after there from that point. So overall, you know, you have Izanagi and then you have Izanami, okay, if I'm saying that correctly. And basically all it is you create motion A, then motion B, then motion C, and then as long as you replicate motion A, bam, it activates, and then bam, you're good to go. So, and you initially activate the jutsu from A, and then when you do B and C, and then replicate A, then it automatically goes into effect. You know, and as long as you use Shadow Clone Jutsu, or if you have reanimation, or if you have substitution jutsu, you're fine, and then it's gonna activate immediately, and it's gonna happen no matter what. Like, you don't have to be the biggest fucking genius in order to utilize that ability, you know. So and overall, it's just that fucking simple. And that'll basically be just that. And it's a pretty broken ability because generally that could work on anyone that has obviously inner demons or hasn't really fought their demons yet, or their hatred, or you know whatever conflicts that they have within themselves, and so on and so forth. You know, and it's a really overpowered. It's basically like a visual genjutsu that heals your mental health over time and basically forces you to kind of wake up. You know what I mean? And to like and be who you truly are meant to be. You know. And it's a pretty broken ability. So, but overall, that's going to be everything covering Itachi Uchiha, guys. That's the general aspect of Itachi. We basically went from all the way from, part 1 Naruto, where showings of him, explaining on that. We also went all the way from when he was a little kid all the way to when he joins, grows and older, and then gets into the Akatsuki. And then we eventually get to the war arc points where he fights against Casey and 1 Naruto and Killer B. And then overall backpacks and saves Killer B and Naruto by, utilizing his shuriken, stopping all the blind spots and everything, not allowing Nagato to have link vision to watch for his blind spots, to lack for his mobility, his lack of mobility. And overall, that's just basically it. And he pretty much comes in clutch, saves them and everything. Utilizes his Tosca blade, and Nagato wasn't able to dodge because he didn't have anything to compensate for the lack of mobility. Yeah, you could easily argue that, since he's under control, under Kabuto, things would have went probably a lot more different. And on top of it, he could have just probably used one of his abilities, like Shinra Tensei or the Absorption on, the Susanoo or whatever. But overall, it is what it is, But either way, that's basically the full concept of Itachi Uchiha. And then obviously we have the Kabuto fight where he fights against a Sage Mode user. And remind you, he's holding back. He can't kill him. And he has to also protect Sasuke and backpack him in the fight, which is also incredibly impressive. Okay, and he also initiates Izanami, okay, and then basically does the whole process with a Sage Mode user while holding back and so on and so forth. Okay. And overall, Itachi's a fucking genius. He's an incredible prodigy. He could basically be able to do that on anyone or whoever he chooses to. So, and that's basically going to be just that. So for the next part, for the second part of Obito versus Itachi, we will be covering Obito and all the things with him. Now, I'm not going to cover everything in the war arc. I think that's a little bit unnecessary. We'll basically cover, all the stuff with him, with Yellow Mask, with Orange Mask, stuff like that. And then we'll also briefly we'll talk about Rinnegan Obito. Rinnegan Obito, I don't want to show too much because at the end of the day, Rinnegan Obito is a fucking beast. He is no fucking joke. Okay, like don't get me wrong, Itachi Uchiha is very fucking powerful. Okay, and overall he can more than likely be able to probably fucking beat almost anyone because he just has like that Batman fucking Uchiha plot armor for some reason. But overall, like if it really came down to it, I do believe Rinnegan Obito would be too much for Itachi. That is just my opinion. But overall, we'll get into it and all that. We'll talk and so on and so forth, you know. And who knows, maybe I can analyze, you know, Obito if I really want to. But because one thing we all gotta remember, like Guy was able to fight Rinnegan Obito, fucking Kakashi. You know, KCM2 Naruto is kind of fighting him as well. Yeah, and then as the war continues, and you know, he's utilizing the 10 Tails of Madara, you know, fighting and whatnot, and then he fucking goes into the Jubito, and then all that happens, and then he gets out, and then he has fucking Zetsu kind of controlling him, but then he's fighting back, and yada yada, and you know, and overall, the shit's just kind of going from there, and then you have everything with Kage, and that's basically about it, okay? So, overall, that'll be the overall establishment, and we'll just say that, you know? But either way, we'll be covering Obito for tomorrow, and then the third part will be my final thoughts and opinion of who would generally win the fight. So that'll be it. Now, for another thing too, guys, whenever I eventually decide to do a versus battle next time, instead of me just kind of covering mostly everything about them or most of the fight scenes, or at least most of the stuff I think that's very important, instead of doing that, this way to avoid very long videos, this way I can keep it between like 20 minutes or 30 minutes long. What I am going to do is I'm just going to do that homework and obtain that background knowledge, and I'll just overall have a commentary, go over, you know, all their feats and so on and so forth, and overall establish a basic, you know, conclusion of who would win, and based on, you know, all that to put into consideration their intelligence, narrative, you know, arguments, you know, like feats, you name it, and then that'll be the general rundown of the video. I feel like that'll be a lot more simple and concise. Just kind of similar to how Swag does it, how Six does it, and Seth. So, but I wanted to come do something different. I really do enjoy showing visual evidence, you know, and kind of showing things. Because I feel like when you actually show visual examples, it kind of appeals more to the audience, you know what I mean? Or the community for the anime, because they're actually seeing it instead of just hearing your words. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, let's be real, we're not always going to remember every single fucking detail in an anime. So that's why I like to go over the visual evidence, you know, all that stuff and etc. And then, you know, obviously give my opinion, my thoughts, commentary, and then and with that evidence, basically establish a conclusion of why that character would win. So, but that's gonna be it. Other than that, guys, if you enjoyed the video, appreciate you for sticking out for this long. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe for more content, subscribe, you guys, to the channel. As always, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.